the Imperial, where I play trivia, and I checked out what was happening there, and I saw this mass situation at Queen's Park. So I thought I should go over to look at it. And having been a graduate of the University of Toronto, I knew the ins and outs of the area, and I decided to go by the Med-Sci building to see if I could get an elevated look at the protesters. And I was told to stop progressing, which I did. I was about 60, 70 feet away from the police, and I said, I'm just here to ask questions. I want to find out what's happening. And police came over. I thought they were actually coming over to talk to me, but the first officer bumped into me 3 times, pushed me back, and then the other 2 grabbed me and said, you're under arrest. And I said, for what? And they wouldn't tell me. They just said, you're under arrest. They took me into custody, and then they put me through the whole fingerprinting, photographing, everything. Took off all my strings, my laces from my shoes. They cut the lace in my hood on my jacket. They took my belt, and then they took me into custody. And then, I was interred at the Eastern Avenue cattle corral, and it was really quite disturbing to see what happened and the kind of people that were there. Most of them claimed to be innocent. They weren't doing anything. They weren't fighting. They weren't throwing. They weren't doing anything. They were just sitting there protesting, and they were, charged and grabbed by the police. So it was a pretty devastating kind of situation. Then things only got worse for me because I'm a type 1 diabetic. I'm insulin dependent. I need insulin every few hours. I advised this to the arresting officers. They took me to see the doctor they had on staff, and he didn't even know where he could get insulin. And I finally had to tell him there's a 24-hour Shoppers Drug Mart in a neighborhood that wasn't too far away. He tried to get the kind of insulin I needed. He couldn't. He got one type, which I was able to use, but it was not the long-acting type, so I had to be careful as to what I ate and how low my blood sugar got. So I didn't sleep that night. I didn't eat because I had lack of insulin. And the other situation in the morning, next morning, going up to the Finch Avenue courthouse, I again asked about the insulin. They said, it'll be there. Don't worry about it. I get to the Finch Avenue courthouse and ask about the insulin, and they say, no, we don't have any of that stuff here. And I said, well, the guys down at Eastern Avenue told me this, and the other police officer referred to him as an a-hole. And I kind of agreed with that because the way the situation was, they had no preparation for anybody with any kind of medical condition that might be inadvertently caught up in this thing. I wasn't intending to protest. I was there as an observer, and I finally, after about 16 hours of being in custody, I was able to get another shot of insulin. I was hustled back to the courthouse, hustled up to the bail hearing so that they could grant me bail and get me out of their sight and out of mind.
So what I think is, these are public relations exercises that are increasingly about intimidation. I mean, intimidation may be the main message here.
Got the sound cannon out?
Oh yeah,
They got the sound cannon out.
Oh, they do too?
Yep. They brought it out a few minutes ago.
And sound cannons and the threat of sound cannons is most definitely an infringement of that right. And we want to send a message very clearly to the Canadian public that people should come to the streets. We have strength in numbers. We have a right to be out here.
Yeah, they're going to do it.
Oh! Me into the back of an unmarked van. There were 4 officers in the van. I believe that they were plainclothes officers. However, none of them identified themselves as officers. I was sat on by one of them. I was lying on my back. I was strangled. And when I didn't lose consciousness, the officer who had tried to strangle me actually punched me in the head at least once.
Get back! Get back!
Come back, come back!
Get on here!
Back up, back up! Back up!
The stand and they're in the front line, they rush, throw me down. So I put my, because I've done the whole, thing before.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
You were just sitting down and they assaulted you?
Yeah, well, so they throw me on the ground and they're like, stop resisting. So I put like this, and they kicked me in the eye a couple of times.
Were you blowing bubbles, sir?
No.
Because that's supposedly that's a crime now. If you blow bubbles,
I was just standing there.
one of the officers was saying if you blow bubbles, that's assault, and that went on CBC and I believe CNN. So blowing bubbles is not a good thing. Walking in the street is against the law. Having a backpack
they
is a
shot
criminal
a 16-year-old girl in the face with a pepper gun. Yeah.
You seen that? Oh my God. People are like.
Yeah, they face planted a 67-year-old woman. Yeah.
Look at that amputee guy. They ripped off his leg. They made him hop into the back of a police cruiser.
They almost killed 2 guys, and I got arrested, and I went in the jail buses. 1 guy in our thing almost died. He was so bad. He had a concussion. He kept falling in and out of consciousness, and if you fall asleep, you'll get like a severe coma when you have a concussion. Yeah.
How long were you held for? How many hours?
28.
Were you strip searched?
Yeah, like level 3. So
level 3, so you had to bend over and they had to look under your sack. That's what I was told.
Yeah.
They touch your balls. Did they touch your testicles, sir?
I think so. Yeah.
Is that a violation of your human rights? Would you say so?
Yeah.
Do you like other men touching your balls?
No.
Definitely not. That's what I've been hearing all day. Strip searches, sometimes 3-4 times. And I heard about a 17-year-old woman being strip searched by a man. These are criminal acts.
I was gonna get raped. Those guys were huge. I was like, what happens if these guys are gay?
Did you hear they were threatening men with rape too?
What?
They were threatening men with rape. As well as women, it's on record.
Absolutely. There was one man that was brought in from Allen Gardens, had broken ribs. They really didn't do anything for him. Another one of my cellmates was sexually assaulted by one of the guards, and threatened. I mean, Amy spoke about this, about male officers like sexually assaulting her. Well, they did it to male inmates as well. You know, they cornered him and just said, "Oh, so you've been raped as a child, eh? Well, you're going to get it again tonight."
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, it's absolutely sick. And I mean, you know, we're not making this stuff up. It was what was sick was, you know, police, the head of the police saying, you know, these people are making up these stories.
Violent acts were instigated all weekend against innocent people, so we must stand out about it. So many people's rights were trampled on. $1 billion spent. We don't even know where the money went. How much conflicts of interest were there? Which companies got the $1 billion?
Yeah, sure. I would love that.
You got to write into your politicians, and you got to be aware of what's going on. You got to ask the real question.
This is great that you guys are doing this. Yeah, same here. And I wasn't even protesting.